Listen, I am so excited today, you guys. Hold on 1 minute. Welcome to Miss V, the Storyteller Podcast. Listen, you guys, I am so excited to have Nikita Morgan with us today. Nikita and we are part of a group called The Alliance. And we met and we talked. And let me tell you, she is like a soul sister to me. We have so much in common. And as we talked and we talked and we talked, I was like, Nikita, come on the show because we're going to talk about some stuff today. So, with all of that said, Nikita, please tell us about yourself.
Hi, everyone. I am so happy to be here today. Thank you so much for inviting me. And you are so right. We have so much in common. My
Mhm.
name's Nikita Morgan. I am a business owner. I work with kids with disabilities. I travel all around the country talking to people, helping parents with their kids with autism, ADD, all different types of things. That grew into a six-figure business. And I've just started to be a coach for women who want to be business owners. And the name of that is Core Vision Coaching. And that's my baby. And I'm so happy to be able to come on with you and share with the ladies about it.
Yes, yes. And she is amazing. So, we're going to talk today about a story because I know that you listen to the podcast. And as her and I was talking, there was so many stories that came to my head. I'm like, Nikita, you got to listen to this story. You should listen to this story. You should listen to this story. And she was like, I'm going to listen. And so, after listening to those stories, what story resonated with you? What story do you want to talk about today?
Valeria, the first story that you sent me was the story. And you sent me five, but it was, I can't believe my mother did that.
Listen, y'all. Let me tell y'all about this story. If you have not heard this story, you need to go over on my podcast, Spotify, Apple, Google, somewhere and listen to this story because I wasn't going to put it out, but then I decided, you know what? It's going to help someone. The story is called I Can't Believe My Mom Did This. This is a little background. I basically moved into my house and I had some plumbing issue. My water bill was so high 1 month, I wanted to cuss the water company out. And I'm a God girl. I love the Lord with all my heart, but some cuss words was coming up out of me. I wanted to tear those people off, so I had them to come out and found out I had a leak in my driveway. So I had the water shut off. So I went out and bought water for, brush my teeth, wash my face, cooking, whatever. But I needed to take showers, to go to work. So I asked my mom, who lives 5 minutes away, if I can come over her house, take showers. She was like, sure, baby, come on. The first night was wonderful. Night number two, let me tell you what happened. I'm gonna give you a small little snippet because I want you to go and listen to this whole story.
That's when it came. Ooh, yes, y'all need to listen.
I am ringing the doorbell, and this lady would not answer the door. So I'm calling her. I'm like, Mom, I'm outside. I'm just coming over to take a shower. So my mother throws the keys down to me. She did not come downstairs to open the door. Now, I I was so hurt by that. And maybe I was overly emotional because everything was going on. I had just bought the house, had to have it long, and now I got water issues. And now my mom threw the keys down at me. And it just hurt my feelings. Not only that night, but a couple of nights after that, it got to the point I called the people. I said, come fix the hole in the driveway because I cannot take my mama throwing another key at me. So listen, you all go over there and listen to the whole story. But that's what we're gonna talk about today because Nikita, that story was and it hurt my feelings. Even when I think about it, sometimes I still feel that little bit of hurt because I'm like, how you gonna throw your keys at your child when all you had to do is walk downstairs and open the door? Better yet, give her a set of keys. It is your child. So, what was your thoughts when you heard that story?
Valeria, you didn't tell them what she said. Why she
Not
didn't throw
going
down
to.
those.
I am not going to give them that part. Yeah. I'm going to let them go and listen to that because you all are going to, your mouth is going to go
Oh
when
my
you hear that.
goodness.
So go
Absolutely.
ahead.
That story, it just resonated with me so much because I have been hurt by my parents. I grew up in a household where a lot of toxicity in the house. My mom was had mental illness. She was diagnosed with
Mm,
schizophrenia, and my
mm.
dad was a substance abuse. He was addicted to drugs. So I was like always in my own shell. I always did things on my own, and my parents kind of forgot about me.
Wow.
So yeah, because they were so into what they were going through. You know, my dad was so into getting his next hit, and my mother was so into, hearing voices that they almost forgot that they had this little girl that needed them and that, required to have parents. So a lot of the times I felt like I was the parent and they were the
Wow.
kids in the
Yeah.
household. And this is not, oh, this is like 10, 11, 12-year old Nikita.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you said when you were ready to take your shower and she threw those keys out
Oh,
and the water started welling up in your eyes, I was like, oh my goodness, there's so many times I just felt that to my soul, because there have been so many times that I've been hurt just like that from my mother.
yeah, and that wasn't the first time. That wasn't the first time that something happened and I just started to cry because when you're young like that, it makes you feel like, well, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? Why did she treat me that way? And anyway, I'm not gonna go there, y'all, because then me and Nikita will be bawling crying. So we're
Bawling.
gonna move on. So share with us. I know we all probably have a story of something that happened where our parents hurt our feelings. But do you have a story that's similar where it was just one of those times when you were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this chick did this to me." Not chick, I'm sorry. I can't believe my mother did this to me. I'm
You can
trying to
call
keep
it.
it light to keep us from crying. So,
I don't know how light it is because I have so many that I can tell you about, but one that comes to mind is my mother. When I got a little older, I was a teenager. My mother divorced my father finally. And I was thinking that that was going to be an opportunity for me and her to bind together and, get to know each other without my father in the way. But that really didn't occur because my mother, she just found herself,
oh,
meaning, yeah,
okay,
meaning she just started hanging out, going to clubs, and she got a boyfriend.
okay.
So, yeah, which is fine. But at one particular time, she spent most of her time with her boyfriend and not
Mhm.
with me.
Mhm.
And we moved all the time, because for whatever reason, we kept getting put out of houses and apartments because my mother wasn't good with managing money. So one particular time, my mother wasn't at home with me. We were living on a house on the east side of Detroit. I don't even remember where it was, girl, but it was not the best of neighborhoods, okay? So I was there by myself one night, and all of a sudden I heard like a and the lights went out. The lights went out in the house. Now I was about 15, 16, but I was scared. I didn't know. I had no idea what was going on, and I knew we were in a bad neighborhood. So I was like, oh my God, the killer just cut the blinds to the house.
Watching too much TV. Go ahead.
Know what to do. So I ended up sitting and, just laying in my bed, scared with the covers over my face. And I just prayed and went to
Okay.
sleep. So the next night, now this was before cell phones, okay? So there was no, and we didn't have a phone in the house.
Oh,
So the next day, still no lights, but it was daytime. So I went out and I found a phone booth to call my mother. So of course I had to call my mother's boyfriend. So
mm-hmm.
I called him and asked him, can I speak to my mother? He didn't say hello. He didn't say nothing. He was just like, here you go. I think that's your daughter.
Oh my.
She gets on the phone and I'm like, Mom, the lights went off. I don't know what happened last night. And I didn't know what to do. I was so frightened. I think you need to come home because somebody must have cut the light, cut the cords. And she was like, girl, stop being so dramatic. I think I need to pay that bill. I said, nah, you didn't pay the bill? She said, well, I don't know. I don't have any money, so I'm gonna have to ask my man to help me pay that bill. But let me talk to him and I'll talk to you later. Click.
Wow. Wow.
And in that moment, the same thing happened to me, girl. My eyes, I was shaking in that phone book because I'm
Wow.
like, I cannot be another night in the
Yeah.
dark in this house by myself. And she
Yeah.
she didn't say what I needed her to say. I needed
Right.
her to say, "Oh my goodness, baby, are you let me get to
Yeah.
you. Let me
Yeah.
come see about my child."
Yeah.
And me being a mother, I know I'm there. I'm running to get my child. Like, are you kidding me? But she didn't say that. She was just like, "Let me take care of it." Click.
Well, how long was it before the lights got turned on?
Girl, I hate to tell you this.
You got to tell us because you know my audience and me, we want to know how long were the lights out?
So she never turned back the lights on. We ended
No.
up, I would think about a week later, she came home, packed us up, and moved somewhere else.
Oh my God. Now, Nikita, believe it or not, I have a story almost exactly the same. Well, not almost. I kid you not. It is on my podcast. For me, it was my mom. Our lights went off because my mother chose to pay for crystal. She had ordered some crystal and she paid for the crystal and they turned our lights off. And I was like, what? You paid for crystal? You can't see it because we're in the dark.
Right. That
And
crystal is not going to light up the house.
right, I couldn't like wrap my head around it. And I think I was in junior high school, but I had
Yeah.
siblings. So it wasn't like, and my mother was still there. We all slept in the dark. And so, we were creative children. We made kind of like a game of whatever out of, but it's the same thing. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, she was like, yeah, I'll get it turned back on. I went ahead and paid for my crystal. It's like, are you
Are
serious?
you serious
But
right now?
but has your mother ever, well, my mother never came back around and said, I'm sorry for whatever, but has she ever like come back around and thought about, the years when you were growing up and realizing, oh my God, my child grew up like this, that, and the other? Or has she just remained like it is what it is?
She let well, I had friends that parents tried to talk to my mom about her being all over the place and not taking care of me, and she just got offended. She
Okay.
never,
Okay.
she started defending herself.
Okay.
The fact that she had been in an abusive relationship, this was my time to be me. And she's just, she's she's just, I hate to say this word, but she's just a little self-absorbed.
Okay. Okay.
So when I talk to my mother, and now I talk to her about this, and I've told her how it hurt me, and she still is like, well, you grown now.
Get over it.
Get
Kind
over
of.
it. There you go.
So
There you go.
how was she raised? Did she have like a background where that was how was she raised? Is that why she's the way she is?
I think
Was
so. My mother was raised that in the South, She had 7 siblings, and they were very poor.
Okay.
Yeah. So she doesn't, she never wanted to grow up and not have money. It was all about what she has. So when she got away from my dad and she started dating this gentleman who had a little money, because he had
Mm,
houses and things like
mm-hmm.
that, she enjoyed that. But she
Yeah.
just forgot that, wait a minute, you're still taking care of a young lady. You
But
still, she still needs things. I'm in high school. I wanted to do things, a lot of things I wasn't able to do because my mother was not around.
But why do you think she didn't just take you to stay with an auntie or uncle or a family member so that she can go out and do whatever? Because I mean, I know parents do that all the time. They'll drop them off on grandma or granddaddy, auntie, uncle, so,
You
and
know
they
it.
just go and do their thing. So why wouldn't she just say, okay, let me just give because I'm not in the space where I can and I want to take care of a child.
That's a good question. When I was younger, my parents did drop me off at my grandmother's. From first to third grade, I was with my granny down south.
Oh,
And I
okay.
think they had broken up, and and they were much younger because my mother is only 17 years older than me.
Okay, so she had you
Yeah.
young. That
So
that
they
says a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, so when I was young, they did drop me off because I was only supposed to be there for the summer, and I ended up staying there 3 years. So I guess when I got older and she got me back, she felt like, oh, I've already done that. I'm not going to let them think that I messed up again.
Okay.
So she just kind of tried to keep me, you know, because I'm nothing like I am. I was nothing like how I am now. I'm
Okay.
outgoing, I'm confident, I was a very quiet, introverted young
Yes.
lady. Good grades. And I went to Renaissance High School. Good grades, everything. So it was crazy how I was so different from my parents.
Yeah. You know, I told you all we have so much in common because I was an introvert. I was soft spoken. I didn't talk. You know, I kept to myself. I wasn't one of the kids that got in trouble. You know, the only thing that happened with me is my mom got notes is like, we need your child to talk in class. You know, she would get
Mhm.
notes wanting me to talk and open my mouth. But my mom, her family was a very loving and caring family. My mom was number 22 out of 22 children.
22.
Yes,
Oh
and she
my
was spoiled
goodness.
rotten, but her family was so loving and kind. So we were around that. So although my mother had issues, you know, she did some things, but she started having kids young as well.
Hmm.
She got married to my dad, and then she moved into a situation where there's 11. You know, it was 11 of my dad's side of the family, and
Wow.
they took her in, so she was always around. And so, in a way, she really didn't have to because there was always other people
People
around,
around.
but not making excuses or anything. But I think with our parents and everything, and God has brought me to this point where I have to understand, you know, they did the best that they could with what they have. But in your case, I think your mother thought when you turned like a teenager that you had it because she felt like when she was a teenager, she had it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I agree to an extent, but I just think that she was, when you're in an abusive relationship, and my father was pretty abusive, I think my mother she just was like, this is my time. I finally get to be, do me.
Yeah.
Finally get to do me. And she knew I was very strong. Even though I was quiet, I had quiet strength
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because I took care of her.
Yeah. It sounds
I
like you
took care
did.
of her. I did.
Wow. Well, have you found it in your heart to be able to forgive her?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How was that journey?
That was exactly that, a journey. It took years. Okay. It took years. I've forgiven both of my parents.
Okay.
Now I have a relationship with both of them.
Okay.
My mother even came to live with me
Wow.
and my family for 2 years during the pandemic. She didn't have anywhere to go. She wasn't taking her medicine, and she was living with her brother, and her brother's wife and her just didn't get along. So one night, my uncle called me. It was like, "You're gonna have to get your mother."
Wow.
So I sent for my mother, and she came and she lived with us. And I think that's when we both had the turnaround where I learned to forgive her and
Hmm.
understand her better. And she came to understand me as well.
Again, we have so much in common because
Here we go.
I'm serious. It is
Yeah.
like a mirror image because when my mother got sick, we found out at the beginning of the pandemic that my mom had gotten sick. And I was not, out of the four of us, I felt like I was the least liked child by my mother. I
Mm.
felt that. I don't know if it's true, but that's just the way I felt. But I end up being the one that had to take care of her. Medical problems,
Oh,
maternity. I had to take care of her, help take care of her. Now my two brothers, of course, they do the best they can, but their jobs and they have families and all that. So it ended up being me. And I had to do some serious forgiving in
absolutely.
order to take care of the person who you felt hurt you the most or almost the most and didn't like you. Things, were
Mm.
said and all that. And I'm like, Lord, but God put me in that particular situation so that I could forgive my mom, so that I could take care of her, so that, I wouldn't take offense when she said certain things. I had to realize that's just how she is. That's who she is.
Yeah,
I can't change her. I can't make her be the mom that I felt like she should be. I just had to accept her, and it's gotten so much easier. The forgiving part was hard. It was
absolutely.
hard because I had to constantly over and over and over again forgive her. Okay, okay, I forgive her. Okay, Lord, I'm like, look, Lord, she got one more again. I don't know if I can forgive her again. But God is like, I do y'all
Yeah,
like that all the time. I forgive
yeah,
y'all literally every day. So I've been doing this for centuries and you just doing it for some years. I think you can do it.
absolutely. And not forgiving is like holding yourself hostage because that person has gone on with their lives and you're still sitting there thinking about what they did to you. And I have too much to be thankful for not to forgive my parents. I have a good life. I have a great husband, great kids. And I'm like, you know what, God, I'm going to let this go. Once and for all, I'm going to
Hmm.
let this go because, I wanted to have a relationship with my mother. And 2 years after she moved in with me, I got her in a senior apartment in Charlotte, North Carolina, where she wanted to live. And now she's been there for a good, how long has she been there? She's been there by herself a good year and a half. And she said, Nikita, you taught me well. I'm taking care of my business. I'm
Oh,
doing me. She is in the best position that she's ever been in her life. She has her own vehicle. She jitneys the senior citizen to Walmart.
what? Listen, love
She
it.
pays her own bills. I had to teach her a lot of those things because she never learned that. She
Yeah.
never learned how to be alone with herself.
That's
And
my
now,
mom. The same
yeah,
thing with my mom, because like I said, she's number 22, and then she married a man where there's 11 of them, and they just took her in, and she was like a sister. So she was never alone. She never learned it. Wow.
exactly. And sometimes the kids have to teach the parents,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. How
So,
about your dad? How was it forgiving your dad? Because I had daddy issues too, and I had to forgive my daddy. Woo. Woo.
ah, I was, it was just by the grace of God. I feel like I was forced into forgiveness. Just be honest with you. Because I hadn't seen the man. I hadn't seen the man in years and wasn't trying to see him. but I had gotten a call about 15 years ago. I got a call that said your dad's in the hospital. And
Mm.
he had slipped and fell and broke his spinal cord. So I didn't want to go to the hospital, but I know here in Detroit, I'm the only family my
Mhm.
dad has. So I went to the hospital and they had him on the stretcher. And when you have a spinal cord injury, they put all that stuff around
Yeah,
his neck.
around you so
So he
you
was
won't
just
move.
sitting there, and I just saw fear in his eyes.
Oh, wow.
I saw fear in his eyes.
Hmm.
And it made because I was always afraid of my dad.
Me
So to
too.
see him in fear did something to me. So from then on, I just started taking care of him too. I got him with the veterans. My dad is a veteran. They gave him a wheelchair. He's permanently in a wheelchair now.
Mm.
I moved him out of his apartment, and
What?
where he was living was not cool. He was living in a flat on the top floor, and as you know, he couldn't walk, so he couldn't stay there anymore.
Right.
He retired from Ford, so he had money and he was a veteran, but he just wasn't doing right.
Mm.
So yeah, I moved him out of his place, packed him up, found him a place to stay, took over, and he was complaining the whole time.
I bet.
What are you doing? Da 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 da. And now I go and I see my dad once a week. He has dreads. I do his dreads. I twist his hair. I retighten them. We sit down and we talk and we laugh. And
Oh,
my dad has asked for forgiveness.
oh wow. My dad, listen, I'm telling you, God put us, this is God ordained because my dad, um, my dad doesn't use words. My dad uses money.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
have a problem with it. However way you want to communicate and you apologize, it's fine with me.
Right.
Because when my dad messes up, he'll say, "Hey, sugar," or "Hey, baby," and he'll put something in my hand.
Yeah.
He'll put something in my hand, and that's his way of apologizing or whatever. But I had to forgive him too, and now we're to a place where we are a lot better than we were because I was afraid of my dad. I was so afraid of him growing up, and then as an adult, it wasn't so fear that he would hurt me physically. It was more of a fear that he would hurt my feelings by his
Exactly.
words, by things that he did and instead he would hurt my feelings. But I'm over all of that now. But it took some time. It really took some time. And now it is so funny because him and I have the same birthday.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Whew, baloo. Anyway. So now it's like
That's
a
something.
race. I would always call him and wish him happy birthday, even when we weren't on good terms. He's still my dad. That's what you do.
Absolutely.
But now he'll try to call me before I call him to say happy birthday to him. And he'll try to call me because it got to the point where I was so tired of trying to make him be my dad, because I wanted it.
Mm,
And I was like, no, no, no. There was an incident that happened. I don't think I wrote this story yet because I don't know. I'm not quite sure if I'm ready to share. So I'm not going to tell y'all too much. But long story short, something happened. And when it happened, it was like a weight lifted off of me. And when
wow.
the weight was lifted off me, it put the ball in his court for him to be able to have a relationship with me. And I think later after the incident, he really thought about it because from that point on, he made efforts to be in my life and to be my dad.
Wow.
And so now, we call and we talk to each other on the phone. New Year's Day didn't even give me a chance to call him and say Happy New
He
Year's. He was
called
like, "I'll
you.
call you Happy New Year, baby. I wanted to call you." I was like, looking at the phone like he is like on it. And he calls all of us now because he wasn't the best dad. I can't say he was. He wasn't there like he
Right.
should have been. So he calls all his kids and he checks on us and all that. So yeah. But Nikita, I'm telling me and you, we have so much in common. So
Yes.
at the end of my podcast, I always share a thought and I share questions. So we're going to answer the questions. I'm going to see if our answers are the same since we got so much in common. So
Okay. They
here's
probably
what
are.
The first question, I think we may have answered it a little bit, but we'll still go through it. Has your parents done something to you that hurt your feelings? Of course, we said yes, both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they knew, though, that they hurt your feelings?
Hmm. I don't. I really don't think now they do. Now because I have a voice now.
Mm-hmm.
But earlier in life, when they hurt my feelings, I don't really think they thought much about it. I really don't.
Let me tell y'all this. We did not rehearse this, but my answer is the same. I'm,
We
my
didn't.
answer, I promise you, my answer is the
Yeah,
same. And we did not rehearse this at all
at all.
because I don't think my parents knew. I really do not think that they knew that they hurt my feelings or any of our feelings. That's just who they were.
Mhm.
But now, and I have a voice, I will say, you just hurt my feelings. Oh,
Right.
mama, that hurt my feelings. Did you hurt my feelings? You shouldn't say stuff like that. So I
Ex-
do say it now. All right. This is the next one. I'm gonna answer this one first to make sure that people don't think that you or I like her. So I'm gonna ask the
Okay.
question and then I'm gonna answer it. And then I'll let you answer. It says, if your parents did hurt your feelings, did you tell them why or why not? Well, we kind of already answered that. But when I was younger, um, one of the reasons why I did not say anything to my parents because I didn't think that was allowed because there's your mom and your dad. You can't
Mhm.
tell your parents that they hurt your feelings because you get slapped until the next day, or because they didn't play that. So it's like
No,
that's like talking back. So I didn't think that you could do that. I didn't think that was it was kind of like an unwritten law for children. You bet that's
you
nothing
better
back to
not
your
say
parents.
nothing to
And that's the
me.
way I grew up thinking that it wasn't
Exactly.
allowed. So I didn't do it. But when
Yeah.
I became a Christian and an adult, I realized, hey, you can do that as long as you do it out of love and you're not doing it out of bitterness and anger or trying to get back at them. But if you're doing it out of love, it's okay.
Same.
Ah!
Same. I mean, I think we grew up in the same generation. It was like at that time, you did not talk. That was considered talking back. You do
Yes.
not tell your parents they did something wrong. They don't care to hear. I don't want to care to hear about your feelings. You just do what I say. You know what I'm saying? That's the
Yes.
way it was. You just didn't do that. And that was like that for me into my 20s. Okay. I
Mhm.
just did not say anything. I just left. But now, like you, I have learned how to talk to them and tell
Mhm.
them, look, that hurt my feelings. Or when you said that, that didn't rub me the right way because I still respect them
Mhm.
as my mom and dad, but they have to respect me as a grown woman.
Yes. Oh, that is so key.
It is key. And my
Yes.
dad, now, when I take him, because he has a lot of doctor visits and I take him to the doctor, he's always saying, thank you so much, Nikita.
Oh,
I really appreciate you doing that. You taking me in the chair, you putting me in the car. I really appreciate you. And
yeah.
that's something I never would have thought that my dad would have said to me. So even now, when he says things that rub me the wrong way, sometimes I don't even say anything because I know his heart
Mm-hmm.
and I respect the role. Because, it says in the word that we have to honor our mother
Mm-hmm.
and father for our days to be long upon this land. So you got to respect the role of father and the role of mother, even if they didn't fit that role completely. You have to
Yeah.
respect it. If you're saying you're a child of God, if you're saying that you are someone that forgives, you cannot carry that with you.
Yes. That is so true. Oh my God, it's so true. I think that when God created Nikita and Valeria, Miss V, the storyteller, he said these two women are going to go through, but I'm going to give them everything they need to go through it. And we
Yes.
went through, we were strong, although we were silent, we were strong, we made it through. And I think God is pleased with us to a certain extent
I
because He was
do.
like, now they're using their voice to help other people. And that is what
Amen.
this is why I do what I do. I want to help anybody. So listening through stories, because stories connect us and bring us together. And speaking of stories, I know that Nikita, she wrote a book, you guys, about this. Of course, we talked about it when we had our meet and greet. It really wasn't a meet and greet. It was just her and I just talking on Zoom. But anyway, and so Nikita, what I want you to do is, because I know this book is so powerful. So I want you, if you wouldn't mind, just reading a little excerpt. We're gonna turn this podcast into a little bit of a book signing. You know, you go up and you read your little part of your story. So read just a couple of sentences so we can get a little taste of the book, if you don't mind.
Oh, I don't mind. And the reason why I wrote this book, this was a part of my forgiveness story. Um, the story is called Freedom to Forgive, and it's about
Mm,
my parents. And
okay.
I'll just read the first paragraph.
Okay, that's fine.
Freedom to forgive. What happens to a soul who grows up with no way to release toxic energy? No one to talk to about their feelings, no social outlet. If they are like me, they grow into an untrusting, fearful, insecure adult with a track record of bad relationships and worse decisions.
Mm, wow, that's powerful.
Yeah,
That's just a little taste, you guys.
that's just a
So
little
I'm telling you, you
taste.
need to get this book. So tell us where we can get the book and give us, where we can reach you, social media, however way, your website, whatever it is. So tell us, so if somebody driving in the car, pull over to the side and write this down so you can get this book.
Yeah, so if you're interested, the name of the book is Fearless Women Rock. And I'm one of 6 women, fearless women. And you can get it on my website, corevisioncoaching.com. Core Vision is COR Vision coaching.com. And right on the side, it'll say buy my book, and you can purchase a book.
Oh, great. Oh, that's easy. That's really
It's
easy.
very, very easy. Corevisioncoaching.com. I'm on Facebook at Nikita Carnickey-Morgan. And on Instagram, it's I am Nikita Morgan.
Okay. I would definitely make sure that I have this information in the description when I post this, when I air the video and all this in the on the podcast. So I make sure I have all that information so people can reach out to you. Please, you guys, if you are someone who you find yourself in my story or Nikita's story, and you want to know about forgiving parents, and not necessarily just parents, you could be trying to forgive a friend or someone. Please get this book and read her story so that you can learn how to forgive, or you can just see someone else forgive and you go, oh my God, if she could forgive him for that, then I can forgive her for this. All
Mhm.
right, so thank you, Nikita, for being
Thank you,
here. You were
Valeria.
so amazing.
I so enjoyed this so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Remember the book, everybody.
All right, we
You're going to
will.
get a
I'll make sure.
laugh.